Good evening and welcome. Just gonna get set up here quick. Okay, where was I at? So I remember that where I was at, that I would be getting to starting building out the main game loop, which basically will be adding spawn points, which I think will go relatively quickly, even without them working. And then I got to build out a timer. I don't think I'm going to get the full game loop running tonight. But basically the way it's going to work is that as the timer goes down, monsters are going to spawn on timers, and I'm going to need an array because I want specific monsters to show up at specific times. I don't want it completely random. Yeah, that's better. I don't want it completely random. I want some control in it, but I do want some randomization in where they spawn. Also, there's going to be another array that after so many monsters that you beat, more monsters will spawn, and then I'll have a buffer array where both those load into, so there's no issues trying to spawn a bunch of things at the same time. I want them kind of buffered together and weaved together so you can get different play styles depending on how fast you beat the monsters. You can get more monsters to spawn within the time limit. So the better you do, the harder it is. I don't know what I have to save, but I should save that. Then I want to add a new folder here. I'm going to call it spawn points. I suppose I should go over what I did, kind of show how it is from last night. Kind of been doing this every time. Basically, yesterday I got the knockback, hit points. So these guys all have different hit points. A lot of them are 1 right now. Did the tweening and the red flash, so it kind of shows that they're being hit and all that good stuff. And that guy's hitbox is still weird. Alright, skip that. But we're gonna start making spawn points, and spawn points are gonna be pretty easy as far as what they are. They're just gonna be an invisible sprite. I can just create that in Piscal. I don't really need anything else to do that. Go with a light blue on that, because why not? I don't think you can do opacity in here. I'll call this blue square because that's what it is. You can do layers, so that's right. I haven't really gotten into what Piscal can do. Oh, there's layer opacity. Maybe I have to do that on a new layer. Oh well, I'm not gonna mess around there too much. I was just kind of seeing what it does. Hit buttons and learn. Alright, I'm gonna lay all these out. Well, that should be just 32 by 32. Alright. Let's add a new... Right, and, I don't know what to name this one. Call it a wild spawn. Either... Basically, ones that aren't in the cemetery. Go with the yellow for this one. Oh, I should have named that something different. Alright. Now I'll never know where it is in my file tree. Yeah, when you go with pistol, it saves it in a weird place in the file tree. That's kind of why I avoid it, because the projects get really unwieldy really fast, because it's all on one page and no organization or separation in it at all. Put one of these in each of the four corners. Kind of even them out here. And that would end up behind the fence, so I don't want to do that one. Okay. Call this boss. Spawn. Make this orange. That's a really bright orange. Resize down to 32. Oh, I thought I resized that. Then kind of want some spawns, some I'm just gonna call it random spawn for now. We'll go with the purple or magenta. This is gonna be really bright too. Yeah. Even though I'm not really making it random. I don't know how I'm going to utilize those yet, but that's a pretty decent pattern for the spawns. There's the ones that'll always spawn on the outside, the ones that kind of spawn in the columns, and then the grave spawns that spawn right in there. There's quite a few of them. And it looks pretty alright. It's a good place to start anyway. So I'm gonna add all these here. And they don't need a variable at all. Well, they might, but not now. They might need a number for which they are, so when they roll a random number to load into the buffer. But I might be able to do that in a different way. I think they already have some built-in stuff that allows you to select a random instance of an object. Sure, I got all of them in there. Can't see them. Alright. Alright, so now the next thing is the darn timer. And they do have a timer. I have to look up how to do this again, because it's a little more complex, but I'm just going to set up the structure, start with an event group. Oh. Put that down here. This is going to be countdown timer. Alright. Alright, so I know I have scene initialization up here, and I was doing variables down here, but I think I'm going to pull those into the various places where they belong, just so if I need to edit it, I'm not jumping all over the page. So I need a variable for minutes, variable for seconds. And these will be scene variables. Let's go on here. Minutes is what I wrote. I don't know why I'm brain farting how to spell minute. Yeah, no, that's right. It just looks funny. It's one of those nights. I am pretty tired though. So I'm gonna start this at 8. That says 0, 0. I think that won't be right. But we'll see. We don't actually have to initialize it then at the beginning of the scene. Yeah, it's a bit harder in the territory, so you're gonna watch me ride the struggle bus a little bit. We need a new GUI item. It's gonna be text. All that's fine. It'll just say text. And I'm gonna add a new layer, actually. This will be the GUI layer. do 52. So that might be in the way. I'll probably have to pull the scene up, or pull the scene down, move the camera up just a little bit, just so I have room up top. I didn't really plan graphically for that, but okay, so I'm just gonna delete that, and we're gonna grab the text object. Text equals string, and I'm going to pull in the variable oh, why are the variables always hidden in weird places? I think I could just call it like, yeah. Plus string. Seconds. Okay. I know that's not going to be right, but yeah. So I need 2 zeros. And I need one of these. I forget what they're called. I figured out how to access the scene variables. Where are you hidden? Scene events, scene properties, probably. No? Ah, scene variables. There we go. Change that to 59. Alright, so I've looked at several ways to do this. So I know I'm gonna need a timer. There's nothing really clear. There's an extension I can get, but that, which would save me time, but that's something I'm trying to not do, but I may break down and do. I mean, I'm already using Queen and stuff, so, at the beginning of the scene, we're just gonna think this one out. At the beginning of the scene, I'm gonna start a timer. That was some time. There it is. Countdown. Timer. I believe these are in seconds. So I'm going to add a new event here. And I'm going to add a new event group, actually. This is going to be seconds handler. I'm probably doing this incredibly complicated when I could just probably have some. I'll probably tighten this up another time. I'm gonna give it a go though. Alright, give that a preview. And it should count down. Yep. But once it gets to 0, okay. So partway there. Equal to 0, you want to set this to 60. Well, actually, we're gonna go to 59 because this needs to be. This needs to be -1. I'll have to figure out. I'll probably have to do some goofiness to get it to display 0, 0 instead of a single 0. Variables. Minutes -1. Okay. So now it should be working. I have to sit and wait for it. I have to sit and wait 1 minute while it flips over just to make sure it's working right. So I originally had planned to make it an 8-minute long game, but I don't think that's going to be enough time. I might have to make it a bit longer. Yeah. Alright, well, it's technically working. It's not displaying right. But that's good enough for now. And I'm gonna start another timer. This one is gonna be time elapse. And then I'll use that for filling in the for making enemies spawn. So I'm gonna add a new event for that, or a new event group. this one... So I don't know how this is going to work for optimization. I'll think about optimization later. So I'm kind of interested to see how this will work if it spawns one at each of the at each of the spawn points, or what happens. So I'm gonna give it a go and kind of see. Well, I just pick the first one. So I need to... I think there was a way... pick a random one from the things. I didn't really look into this before I started today. It was a really long day, and I didn't have terrible much time to plan ahead on this, so I know it probably doesn't make for the greatest stream, but that's part of it, figuring things out. That seems to be that there used to be a way to pick an object from Alright, so we're gonna do this. See if it's in here. Okay, that should be better. Well, that one was just in the same place. First one spawned right here. Are they all up here? They must be stacking on top of each other. There, that should be better. Looks like it chose the same spot twice on one. Oh, excuse me. Alright, so the spawn points are working. So I'm gonna go in here and delete all of these guys, because they're gonna be a distraction from here on forward. Either they both spawned on the same spot, because there's supposed to be two there. So that's not working. So this probably... Still only spawning one. Well, it's probably spawning two. They're just... Yeah, this is where I need the array to load the array in, and then each time there's something in the buffer to load it down. So I don't think I'm quite prepared to do this tonight. I need to set up the arrays and make sure I know how arrays work within Gdevelop. It's not really clear on their documentation on how arrays work, so either I gotta play around. There is an extension that makes arrays more like arrays. Because right now they're pretty much like containers, but they don't have any commands like appending arrays or squishing arrays, and if I'm gonna make a buffer that squishes it down, it loads the first index of the array, and then it squishes it down or goes through the index until the index is empty, and it reaches the last index and then empties it, so that the buffer can continually being filled, because I'm going to have a lot of them, and then everything will load from the buffer. So the structure will be, it'll have a buffer, and then there will be a timer loader, and then there will be a kill amount loader. So I can start building that out here a little bit, go into the scene events, or not events, scene properties, scene variables, and we're going to want another variable that's kill count. Apply. And then we'll start connecting that to state checks. Every time an enemy dies, we are going to add one. That's set to trigger once. We should set that to trigger once, so we're not adding a bunch as it's trying to go through. Hopefully that works properly. So I'm just going to delete a bunch of these. Delete. I don't have any way to see what but I'm going to make a event group under spawning, and I'm going to call it the buffer. Another event group. Spawner. Kind of put them in order. I'm just kind of working my thoughts out, structuring my thoughts into how I want the code to work. Timer loader, and that might be built out as a structure or a map, depending on how I want to do it, which I got to look into. And then just add a regular event in the buffer. I'm just going to add a regular event into all of these. so this variable array so I'm just gonna do that. So the text will be null. 4 children. I can probably have more children than that. Just gonna start with 4 for now. So that's calling buffer 3. So those are conditions. Okay, let's see what the actions we can have for variables here are. Clear children, add variable array, add existing variable, remove variable by index. Remove a child. Alright, so this kind of makes sense to me. So arrays count as variables. Alright, yeah, I'm thinking out loud. I don't blame you if that's not terribly entertaining. So yeah. To do this next part, it gets a little in-depth. I do have an idea of what I'm doing. I do know what I want to do, and I do know how I would generally do this. I just have to know how this program handles arrays and structure it out that way. It seems to be a little more complicated than just writing it in code, but I'll get it, because I know what I'm going to do. I just need to know what they're trying to do. So, anyway, that's it for tonight. I have all weekend to figure this out and get everything up to par and ready for next week. And next week, I plan to start getting into wrapping up the spawner, start building out the core of the game. Probably getting some enemy movements. I would, before I get enemy movements, like to polish up the character movements. The way the character moves and behaves dictates a large part how the enemies behave. So polishing up the character likely will come before enemy movements, but hopefully by the end of the week we are onto enemy movements. And once that gets rolling, it's just building up and off this core game loop, which we got a little ways into, and I knew I wouldn't get very far tonight. I knew I'd just get stuck here, so we'll get back at it on Sunday. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have yourself a wonderful night.